3 months apart. Two women, the exact same words, one got called a scab, the other heard applause, or nothing at all. That is the current state of the WNBA Players Association, and it is more damaging to the union than anything the ownership groups could have engineered from the outside. Caitlin Clark saw this coming. Back in December, with the collective bargaining crisis at its most volatile, she stepped in front of the cameras and did something none of the veteran leadership wanted her to do. She told the truth. She acknowledged that the WNBA was standing at its biggest inflection point ever, warned that the moment could not survive a work stoppage, and made the case for compromise. The product had to be on the floor. That was her position, logical, direct, financially grounded, and for delivering it, the veteran establishment made sure she paid a price. If this kind of accountability breakdown is what you have been looking for, hit that like button right now. It signals to the algorithm that this analysis needs to reach more people, and it keeps this channel going deeper. You have to understand the environment Clark was walking into. The union had spent 16 months in a standoff with ownership over a new collective bargaining agreement. Strike authorization was active. Players had threatened to cancel the season entirely. The $2.2 billion television deal was sitting on the table, the largest broadcast contract in the league's history, and the veteran leadership was demanding 27% of gross revenue or nothing. Into that pressure cooker, Clark did the math out loud. She made the point that you cannot extract maximum value from a league that has gone dark. If the season collapses, casual fans leave. Broadcast partners renegotiate. Corporate sponsors walk. She was not undercutting solidarity. She was trying to stop the union from burning down the one thing making all of their leverage possible. The veteran players chose not to hear it that way. What followed was a coordinated, sustained public campaign to redefine Clark as a threat to the labor movement. Prominent voices in the WNBA media ecosystem accused her of letting her Nike endorsement cloud her judgment, of being blind to the struggles of lower-earning teammates, of acting in self-interest rather than collective interest. The word scab got attached to her name and circulated freely. The goal was clear: discredit the messenger before the message could take hold. It worked for a while. But the digital record does not expire, and then Paige Bueckers opened her mouth. Bueckers is not an outsider. She carries the institutional credibility of the Yukon pipeline, the same lineage the veteran establishment has protected for years. She is exactly the kind of player the old guard endorses. And when she sat down to address the same CBA crisis, weeks before the March 10th deadline, she said she does not want to strike, that she loves playing basketball, and that the situation needs to be handled professionally. She said the product needs to be on the court. That is the same philosophy, same macroeconomic logic, same conclusion. The only variable is the name attached to it. Where was the backlash? Where were the threads calling Bueckers anti-union? Where were the media commentators demanding she check her privilege? They did not come. The exact voices who spent months dismantling Clark's credibility went completely, conspicuously silent. The WNBA's most protected rookie had just echoed the WNBA's most targeted rookie, and nobody said a word. The internet pulled the receipts within hours. Fans placed the two statements side by side, and the comparison was impossible to argue with. The Players Association did not just lose the moral high ground, they exposed that the moral high ground had never been the actual point. The real point, clearly, was who was allowed to say certain things and who was not. That revelation matters beyond the drama because it tells you exactly what the ownership groups are seeing across the negotiating table. What is your read on the double standard? Drop it in the comments. Do you think the veteran media is applying completely different rules to Clark and Bueckers? Or is there an angle here we have not fully unpacked? While that credibility collapse was playing out publicly, a separate disaster was unfolding in the actual negotiations. Ownership had presented a significant counterproposal. The baseline salary offer would deliver raises of roughly $200,000 annually for veteran role players, athletes previously earning around $90,000 per year. That is more than double. In virtually any professional context, You acknowledge that numberies, finalize the remaining terms, and sign. Veteran guard Natasha Cloud stepped in front of a microphone and explained why that was not good enough. Her argument, the $200,000 figure looked different after taxes, and housing costs in markets like New York City would reduce what players actually took home. She presented standard adult financial obligations as structural flaws in the offer itself. That argument stopped the negotiations cold and handed the owners exactly the narrative they needed. If you want to help us keep covering stories the mainstream sports media will not touch at this level of depth, consider joining the channel as a member. Your support is what allows us to keep going deeper than anyone else. Every employed adult in this country pays income taxes. Every professional who takes a job in an expensive city factors in rent. These are not hidden conditions buried in the fine print. They are the baseline reality of financial life for everyone from entry-level workers to Fortune 500 executives. LeBron James pays property taxes on his Los Angeles estate. Patrick Mahomes handles his own mortgage. Professional athletes at every level negotiate gross salaries, fulfill their legal tax obligations, and manage their own finances. The idea that a $200,000 annual raise is structurally inadequate because the IRS exists is not a labor position the ownership groups were prepared to negotiate around, and they did not. Here is the forward-looking reality as the deadline arrives. The players who understand what is at stake, the ones who know the league's value is contingent on the league actually playing, are ready to move. The veterans who built their credibility on an all-or-nothing posture have fewer moves left than they did 6 months ago. And the owners, who have watched this unfold in real time, are sitting comfortably. They know a divided union is a weakened union. They have seen the receipts, too. Caitlin Clark said the product had to be on the floor. Paige Bueckers confirmed it. The math was never complicated. The question heading into this deadline is whether the people still holding out are going to let the clock expire just to avoid acknowledging that the rookie was right from the beginning. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. The next video goes inside what happens if the deadline passes with no deal, and who inside the union is already positioning themselves for the power shift that follows. You do not want to miss it.